Tonight on 3 News, a waka goes aground at Waitangi before the celebrating even starts.
Damp weather threatens to put a dampener on the biggest night of the Millennium.
Love is all we need.
Ex-Beatle George Harrison is attacked in his home by a nighttime intruder.
I shall resign the presidency effective at noon tomorrow.
And we take a look back and a laugh at some of the century's most embarrassing moments.
This is 3 News with John Campbell and Carol Hirschfeld.
Got a good evening. A major rescue operation is happening near Waitangi in the Bay of Islands. A waka heading for Millennium celebrations at the treaty grounds capsized in rough weather late this afternoon. The 40 adults and children on board were thrown into the water, and police and ambulance officers raced to rescue them by boat and helicopter.
The waka was travelling south from Wairoa Beach to Hobson's Beach beside the treaty grounds when it got into trouble. The weather at the time was bad and sea conditions rough. The waka capsized on a remote stretch of coast which had no road access. Police had to crash through bush to get to the site before they could even begin a rescue operation. At the same time, a police launch and helicopter were called in to begin ferrying the survivors, some as young as 10, to safety. Police say many of the 40 people on board suffered minor injuries and hypothermia. It's believed none of those on board were wearing life jackets. This man's nephew was on the waka.
And everybody's all right on the waka. They said they'll all be in soon, just a bit cold, bit battered. Nobody missing, a few scratches, nothing really to worry about.
Do you think they should have put the waka out?
I don't think that's got anything to do with me. You want to ask those questions, ask them later. I didn't make the decision. I just want to make sure my nephew's all right.
All the people have now been rescued and taken to a makeshift triage centre in Waitangi, where they're being checked over by doctors. The waka was coming to Waitangi for the last time this millennium, and a crowd of 200 people had gathered on the foreshore to welcome it. Instead of a welcome, the accident has thrown a dampener on celebrations already affected by the weather. Jacinta Sutton, 3 News.
The weather that contributed to the accident near Waitangi is causing problems elsewhere as well. In Auckland, rain and strong winds have been causing anxious moments for organisers of the events that will draw the biggest crowds. Carolyn Ryan has been watching what's happening. Carolyn, how's it shaping up?
Hi Carol, well I'm no weather expert, but if you're going to keep an eye on the weather, one of the best places to do it would surely be the 60th floor of Auckland Sky Tower where I am now. And as you can see out the window behind me, it's looking particularly grey out there. We've fairly well lost the horizon and it's been deteriorating while we've been up here. I have spoken to organisers though, and they say in the past couple of hours that wind has dropped considerably and they're confident that events in Auckland will still go ahead. For these friends, the last day of the 20th century was spent huddling in a tent at the Auckland Domain, hoping for a good spot to see fireworks.
We thought everyone would be coming here really early, and we came here last night and people had already laid down spots, so we thought maybe...
They didn't last the night though.
The wind and rain did its best to halt preparations for that event, and tonight the wind forced changes to the huge fireworks display planned for Auckland's harbour. A barge carrying them moved to a sheltered spot.
Safety is imperative in what we're doing, so we'll keep watching the wind, but as long as it doesn't build up, the fireworks will go ahead. We're well within what's required.
At the viaduct, where around 40,000 are expected, organisers were also watching the skies.
As far as the rain goes, look, if there's a hurricane, yeah, perhaps that's when we're going to have to call everything off, but until then, look, we're expecting fine weather, we're expecting a huge crowd, a fun night. You've got split ends down here absolutely rocking the place, so I don't think a little bit of liquid sunshine is going to hurt anyone.
Auckland's other big event will be at Okahu Bay, where a flotilla of waka will paddle in with the dawn, and a haka will be performed by 2,000 people. If it does rain on this parade, it's likely to dampen more than just spirits. Auckland City Council has taken out rain insurance in case celebrations have to be postponed.
We've insured the Domain concert if that had to not go ahead, because there were so many people and there's over 1,000 actors. There's all sorts of requirements and needs for that to go ahead that we just had to make that provision in case it did bucket down with rain. It hasn't, thank God, bucketed down with rain, so it's going ahead.
Weather aside, a couple of tips for tonight. Taxis will be in short supply.
At this time, half of our drivers have indicated that they don't wish to work, they wish to spend the time with their families. So that'll mean that delays for taxis will be inevitable.
And prepare for delays too if you want to use one of these. And should you get into any trouble, a police officer shouldn't be far away.
The policing in the city, inner city district, we're trying to take back to almost the 60s style policing, where there'll be all the staff will be on the beat, so that there should be a lot more blue uniforms around tonight than people have seen in previous New Year's Eves.
But this New Year will be a night unlike any other, whatever the weather brings.
Carolyn, how much difficulty are Aucklanders going to have getting to some of the venues?
Well, Carol, it has to be said that Auckland's traffic is bad at the best of times, so police are urging everyone to leave their cars at home, don't drive into the city. It's going to be mayhem, so they've put on a number of extra buses in and out of the central city to all the major venues, and they'll be running till at least 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, so take advantage of those.
Any other advice from the police, Carolyn?
Yes, a couple of things. If you're going out in a group, stay in that group, stick together and look after your friends. And the police also added, don't drink so much that you're not going to remember where you were when you saw in the new century.
Carolyn Ryan from the Sky Tower, thank you.
Thanks.